Hello, Gusenberg here, and today I'm going to talk about how Rockstar should balance the MGs and the snipers in GTA Online. Now, there's an episode in my series called How to Balance GTA 5, where we will go through all the weapons, or most of the weapons at least, in GTA Online, and talking about how Rockstar should balance them in GTA Online. Now, if you want to go check out any other episodes in this series, there will be a link in the description, talking about this series and in more detail on how this series works. So, if you want to go check out that, there will be a link in the description. But anyways, let's get right into it. And this episode is actually going to be split up in two sort of different parts. I mean, most of the episodes have been like that with the SMGs and the pistols. We're sort of split up into that. But now we're going to be doing two different classes in one video. With the MGs, which would be the MG, Combat MG, and the Gusenberg Sweeper. And the snipers with the Sniper, Heavy Sniper, and Marksman Rifle. Now, I was sort of, torn on this, and I was kind of conflicted on this, whether I should make, both of them in the same video, but I think it would just be the best, because both only have, like, 3 weapons in their class, so I thought, just merging them together in the same episode, even though they're not even that close, of weapons at all, the playstyle is completely different, but I just thought that it was a, good idea just so that, I don't have to split it up into 2 different smaller episodes. So first off with the MGs, what I want these weapons to be is sort of, longer term engagements, engagements that are a little bit longer, whereas, assault rifles, SMGs and stuff like that, you want your enemy to be dead quick, but the MGs, since you have a high magazine count, they're going to be generally a little bit lower damage, a little bit lower DPS, but where they make up with that is, the longer range, and also the better just damage over range, and the better magazine count, so that's really where these weapons excel. And first off with the MG, which has a current DPS of 320, and what we're going to be doing with this weapon is take the damage to 36, with a time between shots of 0.142. That's sort of in between like the car run rifle and the assault rifle, a little bit closer towards the assault rifle, so that's what we'll be seeing with that. And then there's going to be a range of 45 to 130 meters. A little bit longer range, but I feel like since this weapon is maybe more for like suppressive fire, I feel like that would be nice. Sure, there isn't really any suppression mechanic in here, but still, I feel like MG should be a little bit longer. Maybe you're supporting some other people. Not generally trying to kill people, but, kind of just as a distraction, sort of a deterrent, for long engagements. So this will have a new DPS of 288, but that's what we're going to be doing with the MG. A little bit higher damage, slower fire rate, and worse accuracy. I didn't think I actually changed any of the accuracies on these, so I think the MG is like a 5.50, which is a very high spread. And then moving on to next with the Combat MG, which has a current DPS of 450. This will have a new damage of 26, with a time between shots of 0.124. I think that's actually sort of a little bit closer towards the, that's actually very close to like the advanced rifle rate of fire. So it is a very fast rate of fire, but the range will be 40 to 110. But this weapon has a new DPS of 234. Not that great because of the lower damage, but it does have like a 100 magazine count if you don't have extend mags, and with extend mags it's 200, which is just a lot. It also has a better spread than the MG at 5.0, so I didn't want this weapon to be too overpowered, especially because it had a current DPS of 450, which is so high, even in the base game, even in the game we have right now, it's a lot. So I didn't want this weapon to be as overpowered as it is right now, because right now it is kind of powerful, actually very powerful actually. So I didn't want that to happen too much. Next, and moving on to the Gusenberg Sweep, and I don't actually have any, rate of fire numbers for the Gusenberg Sweeper, so I can't get a exact DPS, just because it's a limited time weapon. So there's gonna be a damage of 28. And what I want this weapon to sort of be is a closer range type weapon, sort of close to sort of like the SMG category. Because it has like a 30 round magazine and 50 with extended mag. I felt like it's sort of like, in between the SMGs and the MGs. That's sort of what I want with this weapon. And it will have a new rate of fire of 0.115, which I think is close to like the SMG, the regular SMG. So that is quite fast, but it's also gonna have a range of 30 to 70, pretty close range, but a little bit better than some of the SMGs and stuff. But the problem with this weapon, or the sort of deterrent from using this weapon over any other SMG, would be the spread, which is, I believe, 5.0. So that is sort of the reason why you wouldn't necessarily want to use this weapon, because it does have a good range, good damage and stuff like that, a good rate of fire. But it also has a pretty terrible accuracy. And this will have a new DPS of 252. Next, moving on, is to the sniper rifles. Now, the snipers are a little bit difficult to balance. There's a lot of things that they could change with these weapons that I don't even, mention in here. Because they would, require, other coding and stuff. And pretty much what I want is all the snipers to have their own niche, and right now it's kind of dominated with the Marksman Rifle and the heavy sniper. That there's really no reason to use the sniper at all, aside from like the magazine count and stuff. But anyways, moving on to the sniper. What I want to do is this weapon, and also, by the way, it doesn't have any DPS. We're not going to do that for the snipers, both the sniper and the heavy sniper, because their rate of fire is slower than 1 second, so it's not really a damage per second. We talked about that with like with the heavy revolver and stuff like that. They don't really have a DPS because they're slower than a second. Their shot time between shots, that is. But this will have a new damage of 140, which you may say, well, that's not that big of a change. It was 101. That's not that big of a change. But what we're going to be doing is actually making a network damage of 1.7, which will total out to 238. If you don't know what a network damage modifier is, pretty much it's a damage modifier to other players. So AI will be doing 140 damage. If you're going up against another player, however, it will be 238 damage. This will also have a range of 400 to 1,250. And I want this weapon to be sort of your, average sniper. It's not as fast fire rate as what you'd see with the Marksman Rifle, but it's also not as high damage and, as long range as something like the heavy sniper. But it's a little bit more versatile than the heavy sniper, but also not as close range as the Marksman Rifle. And you'll see that whenever we get to both of those weapons. So it'll also have a network hit limbs of 0.6. It used to be 0.8, but I thought, 0.6, it would kind of make you be a little bit more accurate with it. It'll also have a rate of fire of 1.450, which I think currently it's about 1.5 something, if I'm correct. So it's a little bit better. Next, moving on to the heavy sniper. This would have a damage of 220, which isn't that big of a change of what it is right now. With a network damage of 1.40, with a total of 308. The network damage is already applied to the heavy sniper with 1.39, I believe, but I just wanted to round it up to 1.40. So also have a rate of fire of 1.70, quite a bit, longer than what you'd see with the heavy sniper currently with 1.20. And this is quite a slow rate of fire, and it will also have a range of 600 to 1,700. So it's a very long range type sniper. And also one thing I would like with it is where you can't, fully sprint with this weapon. Sort of like the minigun, where you can, sort of like do a semi-sprint, but not like the full, run. That's what I would like to see with this weapon. Just so that's something where it feels more heavy. It could also be maybe something where you can't strafe with it while zoomed in. I was thinking about this. This would be something, you want to actually be still with this weapon. I don't know how that would go over with a lot of people, but I feel like it would just be a great, way to balance out this weapon, because it has high damage, it has a long range, but you also aren't as maneuverable with this weapon equipped. So that's what I would like to see with that weapon. Also, moving on, and finally, to the Marksman Rifle, which has a current DPS of 360, and what I want to do with this weapon is change the damage to 60, with a network damage of 1.15, which would total out to 69. I don't even know if we need a network damage, honestly. 60 sounds good enough, but, just a little bit higher, I think, would be nice. And this would have a range of 225 to 700 meters, and this would also be tap fire only. I don't know if they can do that, to specific weapons, because pretty much every weapon is, fully automatic if you just hold down the trigger and stuff. But I would really like to see that change, because I feel like one thing about the Marksman Rifle that makes it so appealing is the fact that you can just hold down the trigger and put bullets down range. It's something where you don't exactly, need to be super accurate with it, and it doesn't take that many shots to kill, about 4 for most enemies, if they're a high rank and stuff. So I feel like something, where you actually have to pull the trigger each and every time, especially with, like, say, the heavy sniper. If you're going to counter snipe somebody with this weapon, you're going to have to keep tapping the trigger, which will put more skill into the weapon and make it where, you can mess it up. If you don't fire fast enough, you're not going to want to use this weapon. It's not just hold down the trigger. Also, I would like to see maybe a little bit more recoil on the Marksman Rifle. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it has enough right now. Because, it seems like every time you pull the trigger, it recoils, of course, a little bit, but, whenever the next shot, actually gets fired, it's already centered. So I feel like something like that, maybe make a change to center time, or just add more recoil so that it doesn't center as fast. Something like that would be very nice. So yeah, that's what we would do with all the snipers and the MGs. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Would you like to see any of these changes? Do you think that my changes are good? Do you want those changes added to GTA Online? Also, if you want to go check out the stats I used for this video, there will be links in the description. Also, to a playlist of all of the other episodes in this series. But leave me your thoughts on this in the comments. Hope you enjoy. Feedback is appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video.